Welcome to episode 2 of the Aluminium Podcast, Apple News with a British accent, where every week I will be joined by a different guest from the world of tech and beyond, bringing you the latest Apple and wider technology news, as well as insight into our guests and their stories in technology. And for our second episode, I am delighted to welcome SaranByte. It's a reunion.
For having me on. Yes, the 941 podcast is back.
It lasted the standard 6 episodes, was it? Something like that. Which I think is the
we're like a
average.
British sitcom. We're not like American sitcoms. They're not very long. We only give you quality over quantity over here. So,
100%. But yeah, welcome back, Saran. It's really good to chat to you. And I realised that we haven't really talked since we did that podcast, other than the occasional
it's been a while. I'm surprised you didn't keep up the iCave anniversary thing. You know, I thought you were gonna do that as like a yearly thing. I want to come on. You know, like.
I think we'll do 5 years, because that's like next year.
5 years, fair. Okay, fair enough.
And I might have a budget then. I won't have a mortgage. So that'll help. But yes, as is becoming tradition, we've done like one episode. I know I already have traditions, so that's important.
Yeah.
We're going to do a quick getting to know you with Saran, and I have some this or that questions, and feel free to go in a different direction if that makes more sense for you. But the first one is Xbox or PlayStation?
I don't game. That's the honest, just none. That's it. Yeah.
I feel like when we have Mac people on here, we are going to get a lot of I don't do gaming.
We're serious productivity. Yeah, we just don't game.
We're far too serious for that. Windows or Mac? This is probably going to be a fairly simple one.
Very hard question. Mac, obviously. Yeah. Mac forever.
And Android or iOS? I know you've done a little bit of Android dabbling, haven't you?
I have an Android phone here, but no, it's iOS. iOS is where it's at. I dabble in Android. I don't hate. The difference is, like, I hate Windows with a passion. Like, Windows is terrible. It's disgusting. I don't want to use it ever, but Android is tolerable. Like, I can make it work. So I like having it on the side. But iOS and Mac are the main operating systems I use.
I do kind of think it's important to know what the other side's doing, and we're going to talk a little bit on Samsung Unpacked later, but I've not had an Android phone for, I'm going to say 7 years, something like that.
Wow.
And that was only because I had to have it for work. It was one of those things where they give you a phone and they're like, this is your work phone, and I was like, oh.
And just thrust it upon you, like, just take this.
It was like a Samsung A8. It was like their super budget.
Oh, I was there. Okay, yeah, that wasn't a great experience.
So I took the SIM card out of it and put it in an iPhone 5, I think, because I was just like, this is better. Tea or coffee?
Tea. Never. God. I've not been a coffee fan. I've had coffee once or twice. Not a big fan.
Okay, we're going to forgive that. And and then this last one, I guess, is going to be like YouTube or podcast, but it's more like, what do you prefer to consume? Are you like an active YouTube viewer or a passive background podcast listener?
I would say podcasts. I like leaving things in the background in general, like long videos or long podcasts. I'm fine with that. So yeah, I'd say podcasting.
Yeah, I'm the same. I do a lot of like real background YouTube videos. Even I'll like have my phone in my pocket with the screen active and my AirPods in, and I'll be like wandering around the house doing stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. I think, have we got to know more about Saran other than the fact that he is under a flight path? Because I can hear the aeroplanes going overhead right now. They're
going to be going every hour.
We're just going to go with it. It's okay. Every hour? Like, I thought that was a busier airport than that.
Well, not every hour, every like 5-10 minutes. But yeah, anyways.
But we know what it is. We can move on from that now, guys. Yeah. So, good to know you. I do want to talk a little bit about what you're using right now, because I've seen a couple of the videos on your channel. If you don't know, Saran is like a prolific YouTuber. We started basically the same time, I think.
Yeah, but
and
I mean,
you kept going. Like, I took my foot off the pedal, so I'm still on around about the 12k point. You're like close to 15 now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's people who have like grown past us as well. Like I've seen people who, like, it's hard to compare. It's hard not to compare in the YouTube space. You know, when you see people like who just started and just blew up immediately.
Like
but
Alex that started at the same time as us, just absolutely stratospheric. He's on the brink of 100k, and his second channel in a foreign language. The Brazilian is like 60 something. And he's been doing it for, what, a week and a half, I think. Something like that. It's
super
wild. Crazy.
But at the same time, everybody grows at different rates, and it's fine. I mean, like, I still enjoy doing YouTube. I've definitely slowed down in terms of uploads. I used to do like Dave used to do. I used to do daily uploads, but I can't really keep that up anymore. So yeah, now it's like not every now and then, but I'd say every 2 days. Yeah, I've been keeping up with that. But yeah.
Daily is fully the grind, and I've got to say, there's been so many YouTuber retirements this January. We've seen a lot of that.
Yes.
Like Tom Scott. We've seen who else in our space. There's definitely been some, and
well, the game theorists. Well, they're not really related to tech, but MacBook, yeah. MKB actually talked about it today. Kind of a clickbaity video, but he just said like why they're considering why they were considering retirement, and it makes sense when you're scaling up a business and it gets so big. Like the pressure is on, Like even Linus talked about it ages ago. Remember that like live stream he randomly did about quitting YouTube, and then he never did. But yeah,
well he stepped back, didn't he, from being like the CEO?
Yeah, he's not CEO anymore. Yeah,
he's definitely changed his role there, and I think that's what Tom Scott is like, just stepping back a little bit and like slowing down the uploads. And there's another aeroplane, and we're just going to acknowledge it every single time.
Yeah,
we'll animate it across the screen or something. It'll be really good. But then, like, Matt Pat is staying as, like, creative director kind of thing. But he's going to work behind the scenes, and his, like, co-hosts are coming in to take over a lot of the day-to-day, which is cool. Like, stuff's allowed to change, and he's built a brand. It's important. Like, that was really what I wanted to do, build the community and the sort of brand around iCaveDave, and I did, and then I stopped, and I'm back. Like, we're back now. 2024 is the year. It's going to be good this year. So yeah, we've got quite a lot of news to talk about, actually. I do want to talk quickly about your setup, because I think that's where I was going before.
Okay.
And then I got horribly distracted. You're using, is it the 14-inch M3 MacBook Pro right now?
Okay, so I'll be completely honest. I do buy and return a lot of things for review. Okay, I know it's such I can't believe I'm abusing the system. Apple's gonna be so angry.
Yeah, but, they hate all of this free publicity that YouTubers give them.
But I do plan to. I still got my M1. I want to upgrade to the M3, but I'm waiting for it to hit the refurb store, so I can get it for cheaper. So yeah, that's the plan right now. I really did like it. Like, I did really enjoy using it.
Yeah, so, and you went for the silver, right? Because
yes.
you were talking about the space black options that they were doing with the higher end ones. I've obviously got the M2 MacBook Air. That's my like daily driver right now. That's what we're recording this on, and we're using continuity camera. We are all in on Apple stuff right now. But I've used this since basically the release day, and everyone's concerns were about the durability of the finish and stuff.
Yeah.
And it is starting to show a little bit of what I would like to call patina around the edges.
Patina.
So there is a little bit of... Yeah.
I've got Space Gray MacBook Air, and the ports are like... They've got a silver ring around them, like the paint's wearing off, so... I'm definitely going with silver for my next Mac. The only reason I got Space Gray was because I got my MacBook Air refurb as well, and that was the only colour they had. So I was like, okay, I'll go with it. But I would have preferred silver.
I'm not going to lie, I really like the look of the Space Grays and stuff, but actually with the MacBook Pros, and I realised this when I was watching your video, the black keyboard pit looks so nice with the silver.
Yeah,
so I'm actually like, if I ever get a MacBook Pro, I'm going to go with like a silver, because the whole thing stays looking new for much longer, and you still get that kind of contrast, and I really like that contrast. I think that looks
I've always preferred silver anything. Like silver Apple products are the best, but like the only reason I went with Space Gray for the MacBook Air M1 was because it was the only color left, and hopefully with the refurb store, when the M3 hits the refurb store, I have silver to choose. But if I don't, I'll just go with Space Gray again. I just want to get it for cheaper. That's the main thing. Like, now, get it for a low price.
What I would ask you then is if that hits the refurb store at the same time that the MacBook Air comes out with M3, would you go for the slightly cheaper but brand new MacBook Air, probably, or would you go with the slightly chunkier, few more ports on the MacBook Pro and a little bit more screen real estate? Which way would you go?
This is the hard thing. So the 15-inch MacBook Air, which I also did buy and return, but I reviewed that. I wanted to check out the size, and I did really like the 15-inch. Like, I'm definitely... I think I'm over with the 13-inch MacBook Air size. I'm done with that. I feel like I want something bigger. So it'll either be the 14-inch or the 15-inch. The 14-inch M3 or the 15-inch Air, I don't really need the extra ports. I'm used to having 2 ports, and now we have MagSafe. Like, I don't have MagSafe on my M1, so I'm currently charging and also using the ports for other things. But I guess it just comes down to, well, I don't know. I guess it comes down to which one I can get for cheaper, really. Maybe if I can take advantage of the student discount, the back to school deal where they offer a gift card with the 15-inch, maybe that'll push me towards that. We'll see. But yeah, I don't really mind. Like, I've never had any throttling issues with the M1. I just want a bigger screen, really, and MagSafe and the new design. So yeah, I don't mind.
Cool. So are you actually still a student as well?
Yes.
What are you
I'm
studying?
finishing up marketing.
Oh, very good. That explains your astronomical growth on your YouTube channel.
Obviously it doesn't apply to YouTube. YouTube is just. Have you noticed this? But like, there used to be a big thing about leaks and news, and that's how I grew my channel. But nowadays, I feel like that's lost its place in YouTube. I feel like people don't really care about that anymore.
I don't know. For me, I'm gonna say, right, I think if there's good news, like if there's something interesting, it works really well. The reason that my video yesterday, which was about the Vision Pro and how it's actually great value, which I think the controversy of that title is what did for it. Because it wasn't a particularly serious video. It's like, there is a really good reason to buy it, but it's not for everyone. That's the kind of thing. I think that's why that one did well. But I think if there is news, then it's going to do great. However, we haven't had like properly big news since Apple Silicon. And that's when
we started around that time. I remember my first big video was M1. I was talking about M1 benchmarks, and that blew up. So yeah, I felt, and especially with iPhone, like for me, iPhone videos usually they used to do well, but like nowadays, the new capture button is like the main thing about iPhone 16. It's not very interesting anymore.
I don't get this capture button thing. Like, this is one of the things. Well. It doesn't make any sense, especially when there's an action button which can be captured.
Exactly. Why do you need a separate button? Like, I don't understand this. So apparently it's happening.
Yeah, my only thought on this is it's going to be more like, I think, and I don't game massively either, but Xbox has like a capture button on the controller, so you can like save the last 30 seconds of your gameplay. And I wonder if it's something to do with what they're doing with like the ray tracing and wanting to move into gaming and that kind of thing. I wonder if we're going to get a capture button on the Mac as well. And what they're going to do is like, you can basically screen record your last 30 seconds in a game.
Okay, yeah, I get you.
That might make more sense.
That would make, I think, because like the whole Gurman said it's going to be for videos and spatial videos, which to an extent I understand because the Vision Pro is coming out, but like, really, like, because it's first of all it's the US only right now, which by the way at the time of recording pre-orders are happening, I think, like in a few minutes, so we'll see how that goes. But they're giving this button to all 4 iPhones, by the way. So are you really telling me somebody buying the base iPhone 16 is also going to be considering the Vision Pro anytime soon? Like, I don't see why they're having a dedicated button just for spatial video yet. Like, let the Vision Pro penetrate the market, get bigger, get some market share, and then maybe, bring a feature like that. But the gaming thing, that makes sense. I could see that.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And unless they're going to make it something like the action button where you can kind of configure it to be what you want it to be. Like, if you're a Vision Pro owner, you probably want a spatial video capture button because you want to be able to, like, grab it as soon as it happens. And also, like, I do kind of like the idea of it's capturing and buffering like 30 seconds of video all the time. If you hold it up, it like intelligently knows before you press that capture button. Yeah, I want to save what we've just seen. That would be really cool.
That would be cool. Yeah.
But I don't understand the idea of like having a specific button just for spatial video. That makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the market penetration is going to be so slow. I do think it's going to come. I've heard whisperings that it might not be as long as we expect for it to roll out a little bit further. But we are talking like 60 to 80,000 units at the beginning. America has 350 million people just in that one country.
Yeah.
There are some countries I've heard that are actually bigger than America in terms of population. Several.
Yeah, there are many. And 60,000 for an Apple product is like
nothing,
ridiculously tiny. That's nothing. Yeah. So
I
don't know. We'll see.
I do know somebody that's going over to the US specifically to pick this up on
oh wow, okay,
on release day, and will be coming back and then having
that's
a
some
house
dedication.
guest very soon.
That's fair enough. I just want to try out and store that. I'm not going to be buying it. I don't think I'm even going to bother buying and returning it. There's no point. I'm just going to try out and store, and then I'll give I'll give everybody my thoughts on that. But yeah,
as a student, are you able to get $3,500 worth of credit? Like, I mean,
exactly.
I'd have to remortgage like a third of my house.
It's not even worth risking it. It's not even worth risking it to buy and return. Like, that's just no point.
Oh, I missed it by a day. I'm now bankrupt. But no, I do think it's exciting. It's going to be really interesting to see. This podcast is probably going to go out on Saturday. One of the things that I think we did last week is I recorded on the Thursday, put it out on the Friday. We're going to probably move to a weekend release because, it's end of the week. We know what's going on. We have got some news to talk on. So one of the big things actually is going to be like Apple Watch in America. This doesn't affect us at all, which is great. So we can just scalp stuff left, right, and centre. I'm going to start an export business of blood oxygen monitor Apple Watches to America.
Did you see? I don't know if this is your notes, but have you seen the recent news where like the company, they were like, oh, technology is actually not that reliable. But they're the ones saying, wait, so it's your technology, but now it's not reliable?
This is amazing. This is the company with the worst looking logo I've seen in my life.
Oh my god, yeah, it's horrible.
It literally looks like they've squashed it to fit it in a WordPress template. We've all been there. We've all ruined our logos by doing that. But yeah, they're saying like, oh yeah, it was crap on the Apple Watch anyway. Why are you worried then?
Yeah, it's your technology, and you're saying what's your... I'm confused. Like, at the same time, I'm also confused why Apple didn't buy Massim out instead of just... I
can tell you in one word.
Go ahead.
Liability. It's a medical company.
They
do not want hospitals suing them because something was not right.
Okay.
That's my take on it.
Yeah, fair enough.
And especially if it's really unreliable.
Yeah, true. True. I mean, I'm just glad we don't live in the US. At least we're getting all the features on our Apple Watches. But it is a little sucky that, like if you bought one at launch, it has a feature and it has, the blood oxygen sensor, and now it just mysteriously doesn't.
Now, fine. At least Apple has been very clear on the website. I don't know if you've visited the US Apple Store. They've put a banner across the top that says this is no longer included. But it must be really difficult for them because Apple must have put like a cutoff on serial numbers or something for production dates, because they're going to have to now do 2 different versions of the OS every time. And that app is apparently still going to appear. And then when you click it, it goes, yeah, you can't have this. It's not for you.
That's
like, just take the app off.
I'm confused why they... That's a bit... That's a bit iffy, but it's fine. I mean, I guess... I mean, I wonder how many people actually use the blood oxygen sensor, because I feel like ever since it was launched, we always knew it wasn't medical grade. It was just something that, you can occasionally see, oh, my blood oxygen, it's 98%, wow. But, like, it doesn't give you really, like, medical grade data, so I wonder how many people actually used it,
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely not, like, hospital level, like where they put the little wraparound thing on your finger or your toe while you're dying. But it was accurate, just like those on your finger ones that Massimo sells. It matched up with the data that was coming through from those. It's like, even if it's not to 1% in terms of accuracy, like if you can see that you're 95 or above or below 90, if you have an issue that you need to go and check out properly. And it's on your wrist all the time. It's checking in the background. And that's kind of where the value was for it. For me, is like... and obviously I still get that value. Sorry, America.
Exactly.
But this is aluminium with a British accent. So, yeah, it's just such a weird situation that, like, Apple is in. I honestly thought when they pulled everything off the shelves and stopped selling it, it was because they thought they'd got a really good case and they would be able to go, oh, sorry, Massimo, as this was a frivolous lawsuit, we need this money and we haven't had to actually sell the devices. That would have been such a nice outcome. And on the topic of like Apple grabbing some cash from people that embarrasses them a little bit, have you seen what's happened with Epic and Tim Sweeney?
Yeah, that's just an ongoing saga, isn't it? Like, it's just,
that was my happy place when I saw that they've got to pay Apple's legal fees of like $78 million. I was just like, oh yes, this is delightful.
Kind of relate to that, but did you see also that Apple kind of showed the UI of how it's going to, for side loading and out of purchase outside the App Store? They've released how the UI is going to be, and people are making a huge fuss about it. But honestly, it seems pretty normal. Like, yes, like I feel like Apple should make it clear to ordinary users that it is a security risk, and you could be doing something dangerous. So
that's my
I'm
issue.
fine with it.
Yeah, that's my issue with side loading as well. So
yeah,
like,
I don't really need it.
I don't want it.
I don't really. Yeah.
And I think it's going to cause, for people like us, anyone that's listening to this podcast, let's just assume for a moment, and let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. You are the person where if anything goes wrong with any technology for any member of your family at any point in their lives, they call you. And they're like, can you fix this? And I'm like, did you download something from outside the App Store? My big issue with the side loading stuff, or, alternative app stores, all that kind of thing. And I don't know if anyone's really talked about this. I understand that people would like the freedom, but I also think once you open it up to other app stores, what if Facebook decides that they're not going to sell through the main app store, they're going to have a meta app store, and they're going to put their apps on there. So Facebook, Instagram, whatever else, WhatsApp, that people apparently don't use in America anyway, so who cares?
Yeah.
But what if they put their stuff in a separate app store, and in order to access that, which most people will, you have to go into settings and you have to enable third-party app stores, right? You get to that point and you have opened yourself up. Apple will put all of the warnings in the way, but you're only using the Meta one, so that's fine by you. It doesn't matter. But Apple, they want to protect you from that, and Meta wants to make all the monies. They don't want to use Apple's payment processing, all that sort of stuff. At that point, you will get all of the old. Do you remember the flash pop-ups that you used to get on any website that was in any way nefarious?
Like, how the Meta example, like, what if you go to like a fake? What if you see a fake link for this Meta app store, but it's like a dodgy version, and then it just gives you, I don't know, endless problems, and then we have to deal with it. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's just a whole mess. But I really hate this.
To make it even more worrying, if you've enabled third-party app stores and you've gone through all of Apple's things, you get a pop-up that comes up on a website that looks exactly like Apple's app store. And you click something, and it's actually downloading actual malware in the background because you've gone to a website that isn't trusted.
Exactly.
And this is the problem. Like, it's not that people will have the choice to download from other app stores. Major app makers will remove their stuff. Fortnite will appear in the Epic App Store. And people that want to have that, kids who don't necessarily know about online security and all of that sort of stuff, they'll click through all of those things to get Fortnite, and then their device is vulnerable. And that's my issue with it. It's not about whether we need freedom. It's not about whether we should have the right to download apps. Of course we should. And maybe there should just be like a third-party mediation between Apple and other apps that they say, no, we don't want you in the App Store. And that becomes the way of doing it. But you still go through Apple's App Store and through the security programs. But I'm terrified that we're going to have all sorts of issues with our iPhones, which, by the way, are always aware of your location, but at the minute you have to authorize it. They have all your bank details on there. They have all of your login details for all of your bank, all of your financial stuff, PayPal, blah, blah, blah. There is so much access to all of your passcodes. Potentially, we don't know what the issues will be, and that's what worries me.
And also, till this day, I really don't understand why like Epic and all these big companies think it's unfair Apple's charging money for their app store, for their platform. Like, you can't get your apps to the people without the iPhone and the App Store. So, of course, that has value and they should be charging something. I don't know. This whole thing is just, and the EU's also, the EU's forcing this upon Apple as well, which is a bit annoying. I don't like how all these governments are regulating technology now. Like the USB-C port, that was fine. I'm fine with that. But when they start changing the software up and they want the software to be basically the same across Android and iOS, that's when I hate, the government interfering with stuff.
I'm not even 100% down with the USB-C thing. Like, I think it's good that the iPhone has it. Yeah. But my issue is, if a better technology comes along, it will take the EU at least a decade before they notice.
Fair.
And then we get stuck with an old technology because governments aren't keeping up with the pace of technology. If they're only legislating the shape of the port, fine, you can put whatever you want in there as long as it can charge. Okay. But if if we've come to the point where we need something different, we're stuck with it.
Then it might, that's true. Okay, I didn't think of that. Yeah, that's a fair point.
That's where it stifles innovation as opposed to being something that's very consumer-centric. Because it's actually stopping consumers getting something better.
True, fair. Yeah. Okay, I don't think of that. That is a fair point. Fair point.
It's one of those that it's always got to me. Vision Pro. Right, let's just talk about this. I've put it in the notes a little bit here. But YouTube, Spotify, Netflix, apparently pretty much all of the top apps are not going to be natively supported on Vision Pro when it launches. Is this an issue for you? And should it be an issue for anyone else?
Considering you can use Safari on this, and web versions of these apps are pretty fine as is. Like, I don't think it's a huge issue. Like, unlike, I know a few people are pissed and they're annoyed, but the thing is, I kind of understand from their perspective because, as we said earlier, the Vision Pro initially is going to be very niche. So spending the resources and the time to make an app just for this, it's a bit. I can understand their perspective, but then again, I do think Apple should let iPad apps just automatically. I don't think developers should opt out of it. Like, I feel like if you have an iPad app and it's optimized on iPad, it should just work seamlessly with Vision OS because I don't think the developer should have the choice to opt out of not having iPad apps on Vision Pro.
So just as a pushback on that. There are certainly iPad apps that would not work in any way, shape, or form on Vision Pro.
Gaming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Like Call of Duty Mobile would be an amazing experience if you could do it on Vision Pro and you pretend to hold a gun or whatever. But pinching, how is that going to work?
Okay.
So I think there's certainly some stuff where I understand why they don't want to just blanket say yes, everything will work, because it won't. Because there are certain things that you cannot do with the interface.
Yeah.
However, and I think actually, I don't know why I said however. That makes no sense whatsoever to the sentence I'm about to say. But things like Netflix, it could work well, but if they haven't had the time or the inclination to put work in to test it on Vision Pro, maybe they just want to go, well, you know what? We've got a website. You can watch stuff. It's fine. What we're not going to do is optimize it. We haven't got time to do that. So we're not going to just put the iPad app on there and hope it works.
Yeah,
we don't want people to have a bad experience with this. Whereas in the browser...
Fair, they haven't updated the Apple TV app in ages. I'm just saying. Netflix, they're a bit... I know they have beef with Apple, but they're not exactly the best developers. But I understand your point.
I do not contest that whatsoever. Spotify is not coming. Don't care because Spotify's rubbish compared to Apple Music. And they charge you for like spatial audio and lossless and stuff. And
lossless should be free ideally. That's a bit annoying, but
and with the new AirPods, which are horribly marketed, the AirPods Pro, you can get lossless to your AirPods if you're using Vision Pro because it's that close. I'm assuming it's like a U1/U second generation, not U2. That's a band.
U2, that's banned.
Or a submarine, possibly. So, like, that makes a lot of sense. Like, you'd use... If you're going to buy a Vision Pro, you're probably an Apple Music user.
I feel like only the diehards are buying the Vision Pro initially. So it makes
I said
sense.
in the Vision video, like, oh, you can only record spatial video with the iPad, the iPhone Pro 15, and I was like, yeah, but if you haven't got an iPhone 15 Pro, you're probably not the demographic that's going to be buying this.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't think any of this is a massive issue, and I'm glad you kind of agree, and so does British Airways.
Exactly, sponsored by British Airways.
What else have we got in the docket here? So iPad and their complicated future. So this is something that I think you've talked about on your channel a little bit. I haven't done much on the iPad yet. What is going on with the iPad? There was nothing last year at all. We're hearing about OLED coming to the Pro iPads. We're hearing about enormous price rises potentially. What is going on? Tell me, Saran.
Well, okay, so I still don't believe this, but allegedly the 11-inch OLED iPad Pro is going to start at $1,500, okay?
Very reasonable.
And I know you have mentioned on Twitter, what if they give us macOS on this and also the Magic Keyboard bundled in, but even then, like $1,500 is a real, like, it's, because right now the 11-inch LCD is $799 in the US, right? Mm-hmm. So that is like double the price, over double the price. That's an insane price. Like, yes, even if they bundle it, like, okay, if they do bundle in macOS, why can't macOS run on the iPad Air then? Because that also shares an M-Series chip. So I don't think that would justify
I don't want macOS on it.
I don't want macOS as well, but I'm just saying, if people want this to be a 2-in-1 and, like, for some reason the iPad Pro gets a massive price hike and it runs macOS now, why can't the iPad Air also run macOS? Because it has an M2. So I don't think the price is going to be that bad. I think it's going to be 1,000 maybe, which is still very high, but it's, like, somewhat justifiable for those who want the best display. But yeah, the iPad's in a weird spot. I remember watching, I think you were on with David on a live stream. You were talking about how the iPad is perfect as like a tablet for the basics. Like, my mom actually uses an iPad she's been using an iPad as a main computer for years because it does everything for her.
Same
and
here.
For that market, it's perfect.
Yep.
But the Pro has always been like this confusing mess because it's so much, like, if you bundle in the Magic Keyboard, the pencil, and now the more expensive iPad, it's going to be well into the price of a MacBook Pro. So yeah, I just never understood the purpose of it. Unless you do artwork on the iPad and you absolutely want the best display, then fair enough, but that's the only market really. And that's a niche market in itself. Like,
it is.
I don't know.
But so I don't even think Pro iPads should be a thing. It doesn't make any sense to me. The only reason I think iPad Pro should be the equivalent of a MacBook Air. It should come with a keyboard if that's what you want, but you're able to use it as like a 2-in-1. Like, that would be the only way that it makes sense. But keep iPadOS. I don't think macOS on a touchscreen works in any regard. What I do think should happen is Apple should probably work on getting the software that they use on the Mac to work on the iPad. So where we've at the minute got Catalyst apps that move from the iPad to the Mac, like, make it a both ways thing. So you have like a Mac OS app that has an iPadOS interface when you move it to there, and you pay one subscription for both. Because the idea of having iPhone apps that go up to the iPad doesn't make as much sense now as having apps that are shared between iPad and Mac. I don't think. True. Like, go for the bigger screen. That makes more sense. Like, have basically the Mac version of iMovie just be interchangeable with the iPad. I think what we might see something along the lines of what the Pro iPhones have got now, with USB-C recording to SSDs from their good cameras in like ProRes or Log or all that sort of stuff. That would make sense because you've got a really nice screen. If you're going to have better cameras on there.
It's weird that they haven't updated. Like, last year with the M2, they gave us ProRAW support. But first of all, you can't even use ProRAW natively. You need to get a separate app for it. But also, the cameras themselves have been unchanged since the 2020 model, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Yeah, pretty much. So
Yeah, like-
I'm hoping the M3 comes with because back in the day, the iPad Pro used to share the same lens as the main the flagship iPhone at that time. So we don't need the triple lens out, but at least like the main 48 megapixel main, that would be pretty nice.
Yeah, I can see that sort of thing happening, and I can see why that might increase the price of an iPad Pro if you're going to use the iPad Pro as a capture device, but most people don't. What I could see the iPad Pro becoming is like the all-in-one computer for real estate. You know, when you're going out to going out to a house that you're going to sell, and you're going to capture it in spatial video using the LiDAR and the 2 cameras, and you're going to like edit it on your iPad, and then you're going to stick it onto your keyboard, and you're going to sit there and do that stuff. That is actually a quite good sort of middle ground for an iPad Pro, I think, as a way to use it for multiple, like combining multiple devices into one device, if you like, which is kind of what iPhone has always been. Like, you used to have an address book and a calendar and an iPod and a phone and access to pornography. All of that sort of stuff used to be in different places, and now it's all just in your phone, which is good. But the iPad could become that Pro version, like where you're out and about and you do some sort of a field sales role, for example. And you
I don't know, but I understand that, but like that still feels really niche to me. I don't know. Like I agree with you that the Pro should just go. Like, just kill the Pro. Maybe make the Pro into one like ultra iPad, and then like I like the idea. Well, I initially hated the idea of the bigger Air that we heard about, but I'm warming up to it now. I think the Air should really be the flagship main iPad many should get.
Yep.
The Ultra can be that niche product. It can have all the specs people want, and then the base iPad just becomes the education iPad.
Yeah.
And the Mini as well, somewhere there.
I kind of want the new Mini. That's probably the iPad that I'm going to go towards. But I do think when the guys on Genius Bar were talking about the iPad Pro being like that all-in-one, where you can kind of put it on a keyboard and you can take it off and you can use it as an iPad, and that's like £1,500 if you want the 12.9.
Yeah.
A much better solution is buy a base MacBook Air and a cheap iPad, and then you've basically got a dual display setup
sidecar,
for your using sidecar / universal control.
Yeah.
And you can also do your content consumption on the one device, and you can also got a proper physical keyboard that's attached, and Mac OS. That's a much better thing, and it's cheap.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that makes a lot more sense to me than what those guys were suggesting anyway.
Yeah, I completely agree. The Air is probably even the Air right now. I'm hoping the next Air and the Mini get 128 gigs of base storage. They need to fix that. But as long as they fix that, those are the iPads to get, and the base iPad obviously. But the Pro, just stay away. It's not worth it.
I still think like storage on the iPad is like one of those weird things. Like, I've got a 64 gig iPad Air from 2020, the A14 version. Yeah. And it still does everything I need it to. But, you know, I don't know. I'm not 100%. Like, I really love my iPad for consuming and for watching YouTube while I'm doing the washing up and all that sort of stuff. I think it's brilliant for being able to move around the house. And I think for a lot of people, you don't need a TV in your house, or certainly in your bedroom. Like, your iPad is
the iPad does the job. Yeah, exactly.
For watching a little bit of content before bed, that kind of stuff. The TV in the lounge is still a thing, but I don't know. That's where I'm sitting on that right now. And then the last thing that I've got on the docket for today would be Samsung Unpacked. Did you watch the event?
I haven't watched a Samsung event in years. They're very... Actually, I spoke about this with another tech friend, but like Samsung and Google just are horrible at events. They're so bad. Like, they keep inviting all these like famous celebrities. They had Pokimane and I think Mr. Beast.
I think you mean Pokemon.
They
introduced her with the wrong name.
Pokemon. But like, first of all, these celebrities all use iPhones, so that's that. And also, like, I don't think star power does anything. Like, okay, is a Pokemon fan really gonna now buy a Galaxy S24 Ultra just because she was at the event? Is a Mr. Beast fan gonna suddenly buy a ton load of S24s? I don't know. They need to fix that. And also, another thing that pisses me off is that, well, it doesn't piss me off, it's just bizarre, is that they have the embargo lifted exactly at the same time as the event. So who's going to watch the event? What is this? How does this make sense?
People that you actually enjoy watching who know
I'm
going
gonna
to
watch
make a
an
video.
MKBHD video instead. Obviously, I'm going to watch that 10-minute summary. Why would I sit through a whole event? So, yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah,
I'm
it should
just
be
confused.
at the end of the event.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I mean, I had it on in the background. I was actually driving through some of it, so I had it playing like the
Okay.
audio through CarPlay, and I was like, "Did they just say Pokemon?" As she came on, and then I honestly thought I'd misheard it. I tweeted about it, and I was like, maybe I just misheard it. And then quick bits, I think it was the Linus Tech Tips like news thing.
Yeah.
Said exactly the same thing, and I was like, "Oh, I was right. Oh no." Oh,
And
no.
also another embarrassing thing that happened. They said Valkyrie, another streamer, was there, and then they're like, "Oh, Samsung AI says Valkyrie's here," and then Valkyrie got quoted saying, "That's not me, lol."
That's not
And they
me.
deleted and blocked her as well. That was so funny.
Oh, it was an absolute shambles, as usual, as we expect. But that is the entertainment value. No, I listened to it from the beginning. It was honestly the most awkward sounding. Like, you know when you try and fit all the buzzwords in? Whereas Apple is quite good at sounding fairly natural, I think, now in their keynotes, especially the big execs. Like Tim Cook's got quite good. He was very wooden at the beginning. He's got a lot better.
He's got much better, yeah.
Craig Federighi, obviously, we just live for him. He is a meme lord. That 3-necked guitar, that was amazing.
That was,
that is peak Craig at this point. But then even some of the other execs that we don't see that much of, that'll introduce like...
Generally, yeah, there's a good standard of presenters, whereas Samsung and Google and most events I've seen, like outside of Apple, they still haven't figured it out. Like, it's still a bit awkward, a bit too scripted. Yeah, I don't know.
Even Saruji, who is like the most engineer person I've ever seen, is very entertaining.
He's become a bit of a meme as well.
Yeah, I love him so much.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
But yeah, I just found it really awkward. Like, there was some interesting features, like the live translation that they're doing. Like, when you can be on a phone call and it does the live translation.
The thing is...
it's still delayed. Yeah. It's kind of staggered, but, you know...
It's delayed. And also, all these features are not Samsung exclusive. Because it's coming to it's all Google stuff. Like, it's just Android stuff. They're rebranding as Samsung AI. Like, I'm not usually a Samsung hater. I actually don't mind their products. I've used a few in the past, but the S24 was just so boring. Like, nothing. Like, I know phones have kind of peaked, so there's not much they can add anyways. But like, the features were really all gimmicks and things that we've seen in the past with Pixels and just Android in general. Nothing really was like stand out about them.
Yeah, I'd have to kind of agree. I think the design of the new one, it looks slightly different from what they had before, but they've gone to titanium, which is what Apple just did.
Yeah.
And then they've gone to flat screens, which is what Apple just did 4 years ago. And then the back of it is still the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Like, I don't know why people think that 3 cameras in a row and then 2 that are the wrong size next to it. And
I don't mind that.
I just think it's like, it's almost like they've undesigned it. They've gone, no, this is just the elements that we need, which I quite like. Like, I like the concept of it. But then if you have the smaller holes next, just make them the same size. Like, put a bigger lens on it for no real reason so that it matches, and it'll just look nicer.
Also, it's weird how... So Samsung with the S23, they had a 10x telephoto, and now they've switched back to a 5x just because it's, Apple did it, so like, they just join in. Like, I don't understand why are they downgrading their phone on a year-over-year basis. Like, what's going on?
So the idea with that, as I understand it, and I'm probably wrong, because it's Samsung and I don't care, is because if you want to do like a 9 times telephoto, you were using the 3x. Like, surely it would have made more sense to go to like 1.510. 1.510 instead of 1.310 and then to 1.35.
Yeah.
Like, just go 1.510 and
that
have...
would be, exactly.
Have I lost my mind? Is that...
I think it makes too much sense for Samsung. Samsung needs a bit of confusion, a bit of mess in their lineup.
And then
I mean, they'll be
mock
decent phones. I mean, I'm not gonna. They're decent, but they're just boring. They're just nothing really. Like, I thought the 15 Pro, like, unpopular opinion, I thought the 15 Pro wasn't that exciting. The 15s were. The regular 15s, I thought were very nice upgrades, but the 15 Pro was kind of stale. But these phones, oh my god, they literally had, like, the only impressive thing was probably like 7 years of updates, which, you know, is cool, but like, it's not.
Fingers crossed. I don't believe a word of it. And we'll
see.
The other thing that came up is, I don't know if this is a Pixel feature or if it's a Samsung one, so I could be wrong on this, but the Pixels, certainly I think it is, they have this video boost thing, which is like a cloud AI enhancement of your videos. And the guys over on the -16 podcast were talking about this, and they said, oh yeah, it's great though, because it happens in the cloud, so it doesn't affect your battery life. But it's a Google feature, and Google has a way of deleting features very often for services that they do. If it happened on your device, it would still happen on your device. Like, for example, blood oxygen monitoring. But if it's in the cloud, they could just go, yeah, we're bored of that.
They could just give up on it. That's the thing with Google. You just can't, like, that. I bet you the tablet they introduced, like, last year is going to disappear. Like, there's been so little talk about it. They're going to kill it off soon. And then they'll be like, 5 years later, they'll be like, oh, well, we're back. We're going to give tablets another go. And then they'll be like, oh, nah, we'll just leave it again.
Exactly. So, before we wrap up, your biggest predictions for this year, what are we going to see from Apple? Specifically, because I don't care about the other stuff. Are we going to see M4 before the close of the year? Are we going to see M3 Ultras? Are we going to see Studios and Mac Pros, or is the Mac Pro just going to die in a corner without anyone noticing?
I hope it does. I don't like the Mac Pro. But anyways, I agree with your theory, Dave. I think yearly Mac updates are going to be a thing. Like, the M3 coming out so soon as it did, I think it's setting up, like, every autumn we see a new M series chip debut. I think that makes sense. So I can see M4 coming out. Now, I don't know when they're going to be. I guess they could WWDC and spring. They'll just update the other Macs to M3 just before that. But I see M4 coming out. I think the big thing actually might be the Apple Watch redesign. I'm excited for that. Because I'm in the market for any Apple Watch. So if the Series 10 does have some radical redesign, I might consider one. We'll see. But yeah.
Do you think they've got time before the Series 10 to find a new way to do blood oxygen monitoring?
Hopefully. We'll see. I mean, if they don't, just give the rest of the world the feature, because the US always gets blessed with the best tech deals, so at least give us the sensor. We'll have that.
Yeah, don't leave it out just because America can't have it. One thing that I did think was interesting was Sam Cole, when he did his last video, was saying like the first real redesign since the first Apple Watch. I was like, did you forget that the Ultra is a thing? I'm interested.
The Ultra has become cheap, actually. I'm considering because the Ultra is like refurb is on eBay. It's like £400-500. It's dropped quite
big
quick.
and ugly. Hate it.
I haven't tried it, but
yeah, I tried it in store. It feels too heavy to me. Like, I understand why people like it. And I have people on my channel all the time going, we need everything to be bigger. We need a 20-inch MacBook Air and stuff. No, we don't. MacBook Air is supposed to be portable.
Yeah.
But I invested. I actually upgraded my Apple Watch when the last Apple Watch came out, and I went to a Series 7. So it's got the larger screen.
Okay.
It's got everything apart from the car crash sensors and the double tap.
Yeah, those aren't really that important.
And the double tap, you can get through accessibility if you want to.
Yeah.
So, £160 from CES.
CEX. Apple Watches, they depreciate quite fast. Like, compared to other Apple products which retain their value, Apple Watches drop real fast, which is a good thing, because that means I can get a Series 9 for really cheap next year, probably.
But I've got everything it does already. Like,
exactly, that's true.
And my iPhone does the car crash detection.
True.
So yeah, I'm well happy with this, and like, for the price, unbelievable. So yeah. Cool, Saran, thank you so much for joining me. Tell everyone where on the internet they can find you, because that's what you have to do at the end of a podcast.
At SaranByte, just everywhere. I've tried to use that, because SaranByte is a very unique thing. Not many people have taken it, so
sure is.
At SaranByte, just take that. Yeah.
It's good on all the platforms.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Make sure you subscribe to Saran on the YouTubes and the Twitters or X or whatever we call it this week.
Yeah.
And Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat.
Not Facebook.
I'm
not on Facebook, but Snap. No, I don't really use Snap. But Twitter, Insta, YouTube.
Nudes.
There we go.
It's all good. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you to everyone for listening to this episode of the Aluminium Podcast, Apple News with a British accent. I'm getting kind of slick at this now. Hopefully the audio sounds better than last week, because I have upgraded loads of stuff, and if it doesn't, I'm going to be really sad. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
A complete revolution. We figured out a way. We machine all of the surfaces to create something that's genuinely new. You have to start